So the first thing you do when you have any word problem is read the entire problem through first. Mom buys $87 worth of school supplies. There is no PST, but there is GST of 5%. How much tax does she pay, and what is the total cost of the supplies? So there's the first question. Now we need to look at what it actually are they're asking us to do. So let's underline how much tax does she pay and what is the total cost of the supplies. So we have two things that we're looking for. Now if we go through here, we said Mom buys $87 worth of school supplies. There's no PST, so that's important to know, but there is GST of 5%. So that's what we have to work with. We have $87, we have 5%, and we have to find how much tax does she pay and what is the total cost of the supplies. So what we have, let's put down our $87. And just a reminder, the dollar sign goes in front. A number of you could decide to put the dollar sign in the back. And we have 5%. Okay, when we think about our 5%, and if we're working with our calculator, some calculators you can just put it in as 5%. Other ones it comes funny if you do that. So we need to change that to a decimal. We know that that's the same thing as 5 over 100, because percent means per 100, and then that would be a decimal of 0.05. So that's where we're at so far. Now we need to find how much tax she pays and then what's the total cost. So let's find the tax first. So if she pays 5%, let's see, she's paying 5%. I don't want that one. Let's just change that one here. There we go. If she's paying 5% and we've got $87, that means we need to multiply these two numbers together. So you have your calculator. So within your calculator, you can go 87 times 0.05. And that's going to come up with 435. Or if you don't have your calculator, you can do it. Let's just shrink this down a little bit. You can do 87 times 0.05. 5 is 35, carry 3 is 43. I have two decimal places, so I'll bring it over 2. So there. My tax is $4.35. So that's one of them, and then the total is the total cost. So then I have 87 times plus my tax, which is $4.35. Add these together. And I have $91.35. So my final step then is to write my last sentence, and Mom pays, remembering my dollar sign, $4.35 in tax and a total of $91.35 in total. And I didn't put the dollar sign in here, so I'll just go back in here and make sure I put the dollar sign. And there we go. Now I've finished this entire question. The last step I really want to do before I go on is go and have a look and go, if I'm paying 5%, so I'm paying 5% for tax. 10% would be $8.70, because that would just be moving the decimal place back one over here. So 5% should be about half of $8.70, so it should be just over $4. It is just over $4, so that's really good. I've done about right. Now, my reasonableness, $91.35 in total. I started with 87, I'm up to 91. Yeah, I've paid some in tax, but I haven't spent more in tax than I have in the total. So that probably is a fairly reasonable answer. So I could be happy to go on to the next question now. Okay, so word problem number 2. Wanda buys the following presents for her family in a different province. That means we have a different tax rate going on here, but that's okay. We have Mom has a silk scarf for $33.95, Sister has a CD for $9.95, Dad has a pair of slippers for $14.99, and a friend has a t-shirt for $26.25. If all items are taxed provincially at 11% and the GST at 5%, how much do the presents cost in total? So we have 4 different items, we have 2 tax rates, and we need a total cost altogether. There are lots of different ways to approach this one. I'm always for going for the easiest one. Because there's nothing about some of them being tax exempt or anything like that, all of them are going to get taxed at both the 11% and the 5%. So we have the 11%, the 5%. That's our total tax rate. There's a big circle for my numbers. And then my question that I want is how much do the presents cost in total? And that in total is the important part there. Okay, so let's go to start figuring out what we're doing here. We have a tax rate of 11% and 5%. So we have 11% and 5%, which means it's a tax rate of a total of 16%, which is 16 over 100, which is 0.16 as our decimal. And we want the decimal because we're putting these in the calculator. All right, the second thing we need to do is we need to add up the price of our gifts. This is a calculator test, so you can take these numbers and put them in the calculator. And when you put 33.95 plus 9.95 plus 14.99 plus 26.25 into the calculator, you're going to come up with a total pre-tax cost of $85.14. Now, this is somewhere where it's really good just to do a quick reasonableness cost. Okay, so if I look at these numbers up here, and I just want to get a random, not a random, but a good estimate about how much they are. That one is about $34, and then that's 10, so that's 44, and then that's 15, so 44, 54, 59, so let's call it 60, 60 and 26, 60, 70, 80, 86, so it should be about $86. And when I come and I have a look here, cool, I'm at $85. I could also go 30, 40, 55, 65, 75, 80. Okay, that's another way. So I've taken this one to 30, 10, 15, and 25, and then just added them. I want to do that. I want to just do that in my numbers in my head so I can look and then check, again, reasonableness. Does that number make sense? And yeah, 85.14 works for this. You have your calculator. There should be no reason why you can't put these numbers in and get it. Okay, there's a number of you who went and took your $33.95 and then multiplied it by 0.16 to get the tax rate, and then $9.95 multiplied it by 0.16 to get that tax, $14.99 multiplied it by 0.16 to get the tax for that item, and the same for this one. That works fine as well. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 different calculations, finding the answers, adding those calculations up to the same thing as I'm going to do in one calculation. Okay, so I would prefer myself, and I prefer that you learn to be able to look at the question and find the best way to do it. So I'm now going to take my 85.16 and I'm going to multiply that by 0.16 to find my tax. And when I do that, in my calculator, it's going to come up with this beautiful number of 13.6224. Now, we need to remember that we're working in money, and money always uses 2 decimal places. So we have to come to our hundredths column, which is our 2 here. We go next door. That 2 tells us to drop it. So we're going to drop all of that there. So here's my tax rate. My tax rate is $16, or my tax is $16.62. So then my next step is just to add that $13.62 and 62 cents to my 85.14, adding them up here, lined up the decimal, and I have a total of $98.76. And I'm done. Well, not quite done. I do have a couple more little steps to do. First of all, let's check the reasonableness. Okay, I've ballparked that I've got about $85 for my cost. 85. My tax rate is 16%. So that means I'm going to go a 10%. So that's going to be about $8 plus another 6%. So another half of that. So it should be 8 plus half of 8, which is 4. So it's going to be at least $12 for my tax. That's 13. Does 85 and 13 make about 98? Again, they're very, very simple things to do to check to see that your answer is about the same. Okay, I'm going to actually show, let's just do the final step first, then I'm going to show one other way that some of you were doing. So my final step, of course, is now to put the final cost, including tax for the presents, is $98.76. Again, I've included the dollar sign. I'm done. It's there. And I'm happy. Okay. Now, I'm just going to change pen colors for just one sec here. And make a little line over here. For those of you who really get it, when you look at a question like this, and we look and we say, we have 11% and 5%, how much do the total presents cost? So that means I need the presents and the tax, and I don't need to give them separately. I can just do it all together. All I have to do is throw the number, all these numbers here into my calculator. I'm going to come up with my 85.14, and then I'm going to multiply that by 1.16 in the calculator. Now, the reason I do this 1.16, this is what I would do personally, but as you're learning, this is the step to go. Find the tax, then find the addition. This step here does it all for you because I'm not asked to find the tax separately. I can use this strategy instead. Because when I put this in the calculator, the 0.16 gives me the tax, the 1 gives me the 85.14, and when you chuck that into your calculator, you are going to find that you come up with, just a moment while I re-put it in the calculator, I come up with my number of, oops, always helps if I have the pen on, 98.7624. Again, we're doing decimals, so I'm only going to go to the hundredths. That means I go next door. The 2 tells me to drop it, so we get rid of that. So I get $98.76. So I get the same thing whichever way I go. I can use this strategy over here for this one because I just had to find the total cost. I didn't have to do everything else. If you're a little, this doesn't sit well with you, stay with this way. Find the tax rate, figure out the tax, add them together. This is just taking it all and putting it into one step. Okay, on to the last question. Okay, now the third question. Sarah attends a music sale at a music store and gets 25% off her purchases of a new set of CDs. If one CD originally cost $12 and she buys 5 CDs, what does Sarah pay for them before taxes? There's our first question. And what does she pay after taxes? So I've got 2 questions here. And then I've got the provincial tax rate of 7 and 5, which is, we'll add those 2 together and we'll get a 12% tax rate. I want to stop before we go on and just sort of say, this is a question where you need to read the question very carefully because there's a couple of different things going on. First of all, we have the original cost of $12 of CD and she's going to buy 5 of them. A number of you missed the fact she was buying 5 of them, and you told me you did a really good job of getting me 25% off one CD and then adding the tax rate and then leaving it there. There's some of you who figured out that she got 12 and she bought 5 of them. She got $60. You gave it the tax rate and you forgot to take the 25% off. Okay, so this question actually has a number of different things in it, so you need to make sure that we include all of them. So let's get going and have a look. Let's start off with the 7% and 5% equals 12%, and we now know that that's the same as 0.12 because we could go 12 over 100. All right, a couple of different ways to do it. This way you've got pretty much the same kind of steps whichever way you go. So I'm just going to find the original cost of one CD first, or the cost. So I'm going to go 12, and then I'm going to times it by the 0.25 because that is my discount. I get 25% off, and I'm going to get, when I put that in my calculator, I'm going to get 3. That means I get $3 off my CD. If the original cost of my CD was $12 and I get $3 off, I then have to find out my new cost. Oops, my brain's going ahead here. My new cost. So the new cost is 12 minus 3, which is $9 for a CD. So there's the first part of it. Now I want to know how much it's going to cost for 5 of them. So 9 times 5, knowing my times tables, that's $45. Okay, so now I've got my total. This now is my total before taxes. So there's the first part of my answer is right here. It said, what does she pay before taxes? Well, I've got 5 CDs. They're costing $9 each, and 9 times 5 is 45. So now all I have to do is take my $45 and multiply it by my tax rate and get my taxes and then add those together. So again, I can either then go 45, oops, change colors here, times 0.12, put my tax rate up there, and when I do that, throw in the calculator, I get 5.4. Remember now, we are working with money, so I need to have 2 decimal places here, so that's going to be $5.40. So I add those together, I have $45, and I can times that by, oops, I'm not going to times that. I'm going to add that. Add $5.40, and I'm going to come up with a total of $50.40. And then final step is, who are we talking about? Sarah here. Sarah pays $45 before tax and $50.40 after taxes are included. All right, so let's just do that reasonableness check. Okay, so let's come back over here. Okay, if one CD costs $12 and she buys 5, so 12 times 5 is 60. Okay, then I'm going to get 25% off of that. So if I had 60 and I had to divide it in quarters, because that's how much I'm going to take away, that would be 60 and half would be 30, and then half of that would be 15, so I'd need to take 15 off. So my first price should be $45, which is right. So that sounds about right. Now, my tax rate is my 7 and 5, which we said was 12%. So that means I'm going to have 10% and then a little bit more for 12%. So 10% would mean $45. I bring the decimal over 1, so I have $4.50 plus a bit more. And $5.40 is $4.50 plus a bit more. It's not that much more. So this one, we can say, yeah, this one does seem reasonable. And that's all there is.